Every week we bring you an expert stage hypnotist, an expert hypnosis performer, and tonight is no exception. Really excited about this guy. One of the most requested guests. That I have like a top 5 of people that are always saying you have to get this person on, you have to get this person on, and this person is always a very much requested guest. Richard Cole says, "Good day, Richard Cole is in that there sunny Canada. How are things over there at the moment, Richard? In the news over here, we're seeing all sorts of stuff about trucks and protests and lockdowns and stuff like that. So hopefully things are going well. We have a great guest tonight. He is in the he was in the green room, but I just lost him a second ago. So hopefully he will be back. Patrick Gillard is here. Wonderful, Patrick. There we go, Richard Cole. Yes, it's true. There's lots of protests. Yeah, well, it's weird because here in the UK, we're coming out of all the lockdowns. There we go. I see Zach is back, panicking. We've not had a technical issue for a while, and tonight's not going to be that night. So yeah, Roy Miller, hello all. So we've got some of the usual faces in the house, which is nice to see. Natasha Stanley is here as well. Natasha Stanley is the cheerleader of the hypnosis world. And I know she's working with quite a few hypnotists now on their branding and their stuff, which is absolutely fantastic. Guys, you know, we've all been hypnotists for a while. There's some guys in this chat that are kind of, 20 years in. There's lots of hypnotists that have been doing the same routine for over 20 years. Tonight's guest has been a hypnotist in less time than what I've wore these shoes. But within that time, he has taken hypnosis and done it his way and really created his own. We talk about working our own lane, creating our own way. Tonight's guest has absolutely done that and is absolutely smashing it. And I know some of you guys are on here because you want to pick up some tips and tricks to figure out how he does what he does. Good evening, one and all. Jason Nobby Morgan is here, the man, the myth, the legend. So guys, please, he's just disappeared again. And wait till he comes back in. Please make him feel very welcome. Make sure you have your emojis ready in the comment section. But tonight we have the one and only Zach Pincince. And now I don't know if I've got that right, Zach Pincince. So he's going to appear on this side of the screen. Make him feel welcome now.
All right. Thanks for having me, Grant. And you got it right. It is Zach Pincince. So
thank goodness for that. A couple of times I've got these wrong. And I remember we had a mutual friend, Paul Ramsey. I remember
great guy.
Do you know what? Love him. Absolutely love him. But in the early days when I started this, I got on a guest who for me was one of my idols within the industry. I put the little infographic out there, the cover image and everything, and I posted it everywhere. And then Paul just dropped me a message and went, I think you might, get better rapport with your guest if you at least spell his name right on the actual graphic you're putting out. And I got it completely off. So yeah. So first of all, whereabouts are you based at the moment?
I'm out of sunny California, Los Angeles right now, where it is nice and warm. No snow, no cold here. So
well, here in Yorkshire, today we've had a bit of sunshine, some rain, lots of wind, and it even started snowing and hailing at one point. It's cold, it's grey, it's miserable. So yeah.
I grew up in northeastern US, about a hour and a half from Boston in New Hampshire, which is where Paul is from, which is where we met. So I'm used to the snow, used to the cold, but moved out here to get away from it all and closer to the entertainment side of everything. But I don't miss the snow.
Yeah, it's one thing I've often kind of not got with a lot of Americans. Like, why would you live in the cold bit? If you can just drive to the warm bit, I would be in the warm bit. So if I could do it here without all the red tape, I'd absolutely do that. So hypnosis. What were you doing before you kind of took to the stage, before you learned hypnosis?
So I started learning hypnosis when I was in college. I started learning magic just for fun, picked up sleight of hand and card tricks just as a hobby because I thought, hey, why not? And I couldn't even shuffle a deck of cards when I started, but just picked it up for fun and, fun impressing my friends and family with some tricks. And after about a year of learning magic, I decided, you know what, I want to start getting into some other types of entertainment. So I started learning stand-up comedy a little bit, did a little bit of improv comedy, and then thought, you know what? Why not learn hypnosis too? I taught myself magic. I figured out how to do it. Why not add hypnosis to that list of different ways to entertain people? And so I picked up the DVD, The Manchurian Approach by Anthony Jacquin. Some of you guys might be familiar with that, which was a great resource for me because it tied in learning hypnosis with magic and sort of how to do both in a street hypnosis style. And I'd done a little bit of street magic already, and so I was familiar with that. So I picked up the DVD and I told myself, I'm going to watch this DVD, finish it by the end of the week, and I will have hypnotized somebody by the end of the week. Now, I had no idea if hypnosis was legitimate, if it was going to work, if this DVD was any good. I just sort of made that commitment to myself. You know what? I've always thought hypnosis was really neat. We talked about Paul earlier. The first time I ever saw a show was seeing Paul Ramsey perform. Paul saw his show when I was a freshman, was super fascinated by it. And so when I was a senior and decided to learn it, I thought, you know what, I'm going to learn hypnosis and get into it. So I picked up the Manchurian Approach DVD, decided to learn it, told myself I was going to hypnotize someone by the end of the week. And so the end of that week on Friday afternoon, I'd finished the DVD. I went out and just decided to try to hypnotize random people on my school campus. And I would just walk up to a stranger, said, hey, I've been learning hypnosis. Can I hypnotize you? And a lot of people would say no, because it's a weird thing for a random person to walk up to you and ask. And the first person that I tried it on, I just a couple basic suggestibility tests that I had learned from the DVD. It didn't really work. Nothing really happened.
Oh.
And so I was like, well, okay, we'll try it again. Second time, didn't really work. Nothing really happened. Third time, didn't really work. Nothing really happened. But I was committed. I said, I'm going to keep doing this until it works. A few times later, they were effective to an extent. And I was all excited. I hypnotized somebody. I did it. It worked. And so from then on, continued just to learn more, picked up some more books, DVDs. And then going into my last semester of college, was starting to, get some experience behind me, getting pretty good at it, and decided, you know what? I'm going to go into doing hypnosis as a career. I was a communication major, so I didn't have a specific job lined up. So I thought, you know what? Why not jump into doing it? And started working with Paul that semester, which was a lot of fun. So he sort of helped me, get my wings underneath me and give me the advice that I needed to get rolling. And then as soon as I graduated, I did my certification through the NGH and got that under my belt, and then just sort of dove right in. And here I am a few years later.
I was going to say, when it says dove right in, like we said earlier, in the space of time that I've had these trainers, you've amassed, over 600,000 subscribers on your YouTube channel, your TikTok, your Instagram. You have an amazing following. And what you've done is you've really brought hypnosis to that new audience. I here in the UK, I talk to audiences about hypnosis, and there's loads of younger people that have never even heard of it. They don't understand what it is or anything like that. The stuff that you're doing, you're really putting it out there. I see as well that you work with all sorts of like kind of Instagram and social media followers as well. You've hypnotized celebrities. You've really kind of took it to an amazing place. Was that your goal starting out? Did you always kind of think there's a gap in the market kind of with the online stuff, or did that just happen by accident?
No, so the reason I started doing stuff online was because I was trying to navigate the dichotomy of figuring out how to get started as a hypnotist, right? It's that classic, catch-22 of anytime you're going into a new field, no one's going to hire you unless you have experience, but the only way to get experience is to get hired. And so you're like, how do you figure that out? And so for me, deciding to just start doing street hypnosis as a way to demonstrate that skill set and show that I have what it takes to be able to get paid to do hypnosis.
Yeah.
So I started just going out to just the local park or the local beach back in New Hampshire where I lived initially, and would just go do street hypnosis. I would bring a friend with me who would just follow around with my cell phone and just film me as I would walk up to strangers and ask people if I could hypnotize them. And most people would say no, because again, that's a weird thing for people to get asked. But sometimes they said yes. Sometimes it would work out well and it would turn into good videos. And from there, it sort of snowballed into where it is now. But that's how it started.
I know when you first started doing some of the street stuff on the beaches, there were comments saying, it's easy to get attention when you're hypnotizing girls in the bikini on the beach, which on some level is very true. If I'm scrolling through YouTube and have a choice between a pretty video and a non-pretty video, I'm clicking on the pretty video. I think it definitely works to your advantage that you're, without sounding patronizing, you're a young, good-looking lad. If some of the guys that are seeing these hypnosis forums were approaching girls on the beach in bikinis, I think the police may be called for some of them. But it's always done in a really kind of non-threatening type of way. How was that at first, kind of that cold approach, going up to people and then asking them? Because that must be a great confidence builder as you go ahead. But those first few times going up to random strangers, Did it ever go wrong? Did you ever have boyfriends chasing you? You know, there must be some interesting challenges that happened with
Oh, of course. There are all sorts of stories, and I think I have. There's a video on my YouTube channel where I just put up me just getting rejected from being asked the whole time, like no hypnosis, just people saying no to getting hypnotized the whole time when I walk up to groups of people. So it happens, a lot of times, and that's actually the more common occurrence is people are more likely to say no, or oh no, thank you, or oh not interested. But as we know in the business, sometimes you got to push through the rejection, the failure, and the hesitation to get to where you want to be. And so all sorts of stories. Sometimes people saying not interested or people saying go away. But for the most part, people were very polite or, oh, no, thank you. Or no, I'm not interested, but thank you very much. So you never know.
Yeah. So who's your, I've seen you work with some celebrities, some influencers. Who was your favorite one to work with and why?
Man, it's so many cool opportunities, different people I've gotten to work with. But I think one of the cooler ones was definitely the opportunity to hypnotize some of the hype house influencers through TikTok. So Charlie D'Amelio, Little Huddy, and some of these big names of. If you're a young person, you probably are more familiar with these names than if you're a little bit older. But for me, that was as I just about a couple weeks from moving to LA and making a couple connections and having the opportunity to do that. And that was right before their platforms really blew up and hit the next level. And so for me to have had the opportunity to work with them a week or two before was like, hey, it was really cool that I got to do that. And then putting some of those videos on my platforms helped me to grow because I had that brand recognition of these people who now also had these big platforms that I'd gotten to work with. So for me, especially because that was one that I did so early on as I was just getting into doing stuff with other social media influencers, that was really fun.
Yeah. I've got a question from Fraser. I can see it, but I'm not going to put it on the screen. Fraser says, how did the celebrities come to want to being hypnotized? Did Zach reach out or did it go after they went viral? So Fraser's asking how you came about that. Did you reach out to them or was it their agents or them that reached out to you?
Yeah, most of the time it was them that reached out to me. A lot of times they would just send me a message on Instagram saying, hey, we've seen your videos or I've seen your TikToks, it looks so cool. Can you hypnotize us? Or we'd love to do a video. And of course I'm like, yeah, let's do it. How do we set it up? Let's make it happen. And a lot of fun. But yeah, usually they would reach out to me.
Yeah. And I suppose it's the same as most things. If this is their product creating content, they need new content. So,
of course,
done right, you're doing absolutely brilliant. And you did absolutely and are absolutely smashing it on that side of things. Where do you see, I mean, you mentioned their TikTok. For me, that was a weird thing. For years, I kind of said, I'm not going onto TikTok. I can't dance. I don't sing, TikTok's not for me, but that's the mindset that holds people back to these platforms. I remember the first couple of videos I put on TikTok, I mean, nowhere near the kind of metrics that you're getting, but the numbers were coming through. It was like, this is unbelievable. This is good traffic coming through. And I think at one point I was getting more inquiries from people that had seen TikTok videos than what had seen my website. And you kind of like, there's something to this. It was Natasha that's in the comment section that told me, get on TikTok. And there's so many hypnotists that fear, that new technology, that, fear going onto YouTube, fear Instagram, TikTok, and whatever's going to be the next platform. But you absolutely smashed it on that. Where do you think the future of it is?
The future of hypnosis, of social media,
the future of hypnosis. I mean, there's often the comments. I always ask a lot of the kind of old school stage hypnotists where they see the future is. Some are diehard and say stage hypnosis has to remain on the stage for it to be what it is. And I get that to a point. You understand the energy of the audience. And then there's some people that say, listen, within 5 or 10 years, all kind of performance hypnosis is going to be online. It's going to be skits done exactly like what you're doing, the model that you've put out there, skits done online that people can consume quickly and then move on.
Yeah, I don't think live shows are going to go away anytime soon, right? I think especially because we have so much of what's online, that makes the live shows even more special, right? If you follow a music artist online, it makes it even cooler if you can go see their live concert in person, or if you see a hypnotist and you see a bunch of my videos, people often ask, where are your shows? Can I go see your shows? Or I'd love to get hypnotized at a show. So people want that live experience. So if you're a stage hypnotist, don't worry, the stage shows aren't going to go anywhere. I think that's part of the human nature, is we love that live in-person entertainment. And it feels more special if you can be there in person versus watching a video that everyone else has seen. You sort of have that, oh, I was there, I saw it happen with my own eyes, versus seeing a video. But I think the way the hypnosis will evolve is that people naturally are skeptical, as we all know, about hypnosis, and they have this idea of what they think that it is. But the more that we can use online platforms like TikTok, like YouTube, like Instagram, social media, to be able to put out different perceptions or portrayals of hypnosis that people may not have seen, it will warm people up to the idea of hypnosis being something that could be fun to go watch or be a part of as a show, or something that can be useful to help them to make a change in their life, whatever it may be. If you're a hypnotherapist or practitioner, getting people to be more familiar, more comfortable with the idea of hypnosis, I think is a way we'll continue to see it evolve as we have more opportunities for us to be able to put our content on these platforms that are being much more generous with these views, like you said. So it'll be fun to see where that continues to go, but I'm excited to see what happens with it.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a comment here from Natasha. Zach is proof that it can evolve and do really well. And she says, I told you to do it after seeing Zach's videos. Oh, so there you go. She told me to go on TikTok after seeing one of your videos on TikTok as well.
Secondhand inspiration then. There you
exactly.
go.
One of the things, especially at the moment now, here in the UK, I don't know if it's the same in the US. In the UK, young boys always want to be footballers. And young girls always want to be footballers' wives. That was the thing to aspire to be, because I think they saw it as being you can earn money doing nothing and just having fun. Yep. Now, I think a lot of young people now want to be YouTubers. They want to be social media influencers, TikTok stars. We spoke briefly before we went live. You have 600,000 followers on TikTok, thousands and thousands of followers on other social media platforms, 62 million views on your YouTube videos. How many Lamborghinis have you got?
No Lamborghinis.
No Lamborghinis?
No.
I mean, tell us about that. I mean, I know I did see a video you did with, is it cut t-shirts?
You had yes, cuts. Yep, yeah. So shirt I'm wearing right now, but no, it was it's the clothing brand that I wear all the time, and so I just reached out to them like, hey, let's do a partnership where they were able to pay me some money to help promote their products and would send me free stuff that I would already buy from them anyway, and so it was kind of a relationship that was meant to be, because I already loved and wore their products. But few opportunities to do brand deals and stuff like that, but. The biggest side of the money often comes from the monetization of getting paid through AdSense on YouTube. And the more views your videos get, the more ads that are played on those videos, and the more compensation you get for ads being run on your content. Yeah.
Yeah. It's again, it's something that people aspire to aim to. My phone's just made a cash sound. I don't know what that was, but I think it's because we're talking about money.
Making that money.
Yeah. Again, doing the collaboration with a brand that you're already happy to work with, it means you're not selling out just for the money. And I think there's a lot of hypnotists online now, having seen the success from it, and there's nothing wrong from that, but are now chasing the money from it. And I don't know whether that creates that authenticity. So yeah. I don't know if there was a question or a statement in there.
Yeah. No, it's true. A lot of people are so, tunnel focused on making money and making income that we often forget why we want that money and income in the first place. It's to live a life that we enjoy, right? So many people get caught up on that, well, we live to work mentality, but no, we actually work to live, right? How can we focus on what's really important to us? And for me, it's like, well, I can spend all of this time and effort trying to make as much money as possible, or I can not put all that effort into just trying to make money and just focus on what I have fun doing and what's enjoyable to me, and putting myself out in that authentic way. And that's been part of the neat thing about growing the platform that I have, is a lot of my videos aren't really heavily edited. It's not me sort of creating this facade or alter ego or stage name. It's just me putting myself out there, doing what I enjoy, having fun on stage, doing shows, working with celebrities that are cool for me to meet them in the first place, getting the opportunity to be a part of their video and sharing what I do, and people resonate with that.
Brilliant. Natasha says, so what are your plans then? Do you want to do more shows, Vegas, cruise ships, or do you want to focus on your online content?
I'm still sort of figuring it out as I go. I don't know that I would necessarily want, as cool as it would be to perform in Vegas, I don't know that I see myself doing a consistent show every night. Because to me, I think that would get boring. As much as I love performing on stage, I love the variety of doing different things and working with different people and being out here in LA. And so we'll see. I'm sort of taking it, one stage, one phase at a time.
Yeah.
Potentially might have some TV stuff in the works. So we'll see. We'll see where that goes. But yeah, I'm still just kind of enjoying what's happening online and letting it evolve as it will, and kind of riding the wave to see where it takes me.
That's and hat off to you for that. Like a tech question, you said in the beginning you had a friend that went out there with your iPhone to film some stuff. Where are you at now with the tech? Is it, is there more of you? Do you have a team? Have the cameras improved? If you're going out now to hypnotize on the streets, what kind of stuff do you take with you?
So all of the videos on my YouTube channel, with the exception of maybe one or two, are still just filmed on my iPhone.
Wow. I mean,
so
the camera quality in the iPhone is brilliant.
When I do my stage shows, I put in my rider that I need a volunteer to help film for me. It's usually one of the student volunteers. And so I'll have them just sit in the front. I'll just hand them my cell phone, just be like, watch the show through the screen, and they'll film the show on my phone. And then I have the footage, and then I can cut that up and put it on YouTube or TikTok or whatever it may be. But it's all just still filmed organically, just right on my phone. Super easy.
I see a lot of guys, and I've done it myself, that do have the kind of the 2 or 3 camera setup, the tripods and all this stuff. And for me, especially it's working in Northern England, I'm always so paranoid that someone's either going to knock the tripod over and smash the camera, or in some of the venues that have worked, just steal the camera. So there's always that. So the fact that you can just do it on your cell phone is absolutely fantastic. And like I said earlier, the quality on iPhones now is absolutely amazing, so you can get some great footage. And I think giving it to a student to film it, they're filming it from the point of view as someone that's enjoying the content, so they're seeing something that's interesting. So that's really great. Is that what's the most challenging show you've had so far?
Well, I think as other hypnotists can often relate, the fewer people we have in the audience, the more challenging it can be to get enough people who are wanting to get hypnotized. So I did, when I was on tour last fall doing colleges, a bunch of different shows, a lot of times perform in a theater, an auditorium, or a gymnasium. But I had one show where I was just performing in the lobby of a science center, where they are only expecting like 20, 25 students. So they didn't even bother, renting out a bigger facility. They were just like, I'll just perform in this lobby. So there's no stage, just a few chairs, and just kind of had to pull a couple people up. But that was where the benefit of doing so much street hypnosis, gave me that experience of being able to do stuff on the fly or adapt or improvise or do what I need to do. And especially collabing with, a lot of these influencers who want to get hypnotized for a video. You don't have the benefit of the doubt of, oh, the audience is 100 people and you can pick out the 10 best to be a part of your show. It's this one person wants to get hypnotized, and you have to be able to get them to the state where they can experience the phenomena of hypnosis. So really being able to hone my skills in a way where my success rate gets a lot higher, because I'm forced in those situations where it is a lot more challenging, or I have to succeed in those moments. So when I have those challenging shows, it's frustrating when I don't have the audience that you would hope for when you fly across the country to do a show. But, it's always fun, even with those challenging shows, like really small audiences performing in a lobby of a science center, to see how it still turns into something fun, just being able to work with what you got.
Yeah. And like you said, by doing the street stuff and the stuff with the influencers, it really does hone your skill. There's a question here in the comment section. You can answer it or not if you want. That says, "Is Jake Paul really a douche?" Ha ha.
Well, I haven't actually met Jake Paul or Logan Paul or the Paul brothers. I've worked with a lot of influencers, but not them yet. So.
Oh, brilliant. What's been your best show so far? As in the one that really kind of makes you go, do you know what? This is a moment that I'm going to kind of treasure for a long time.
So I had a cool opportunity to get to do a show last fall. A lot of hypnotists are probably familiar with Tony Robbins, or familiar with his material, or if you're into motivational speaking or personal development, self-help, you've probably read some of his books, been to some of his events. But I got the opportunity to do a hypnosis show at one of his events last fall for him, which was really cool. And so for me, he was somebody that I've looked up to for a while and have learned a lot from. And So for me to be able to have that full circle moment of him being somebody that I learned from to being able to perform on his stage was a really
Wow.
cool moment that was, one that I'll remember for a long time of, wow, if you had told me a couple of years ago that I would be performing to somebody that I look up to like that,
Wow.
I never would have believed you. So it was
I
a
mean,
cool full
that is
circle moment.
that is a cool moment. That would take some beating, to be fair. Again, does that come about from your online stuff, from reaching out? Yeah,
Yeah, that came through just connections of people that I met at different events, and
brilliant.
people I've met through my journey. I'm one of my friends who I'm now really good friends with is close to Tony, and so that came through a connection where they're trying to figure out a performer and entertainer, and my friend mentioned my name, and so that all kind of turned into me being able to perform at the event, which is really cool.
Fantastic. Well done on that. That is a really cool thing to kind of have under your belt. Let's have a look. A couple of questions here as well. Fraser Penman says, "Have you ever went to hypnotize a celebrity and it's not happened? No fault of theirs, just not a fantastic subject."
Yeah, it certainly happens. And some of the videos on my YouTube channel, again, they're usually not cut or not edited, so you can see the full process of what happens. And sometimes the person goes right under really quickly, and in a minute or two, they're already in trance and are experiencing suggestions. And sometimes it takes longer. Sometimes it takes 5 minutes, 10 minutes. There's one video I had where a full video is 40 minutes because the first 20 minutes was just allowing them to open up to that point where they were able to go under. But I think the key is that, I'm not quick to give up when it doesn't always work initially, right? I think a lot of hypnotists tend to just be like, well, they're not suggestible, they're not a good subject, they're not hypnotizable, move on to the next person. But I've come to realize that, we all are hypnotizable, right? We all know that that's the way that our brain works, is we're wired to experience what we believe. We have dreams where we use that part of our mind every single night. So being confident that I can get people there, even if it takes some time, and not being willing to give up on it. So when I do those collabs, and sometimes I have a celebrity who's hesitant or initially doesn't seem like they're very hypnotizable, I stick with it and I help them see past some of those initial hesitations or resistance to experiencing it, and will ultimately get them to a point where even if they don't necessarily get hypnotized to the fullest extent that we all know is possible, they can still experience some phenomena and still feel like that they got to have a fun experience with hypnosis.
Yeah. I saw a video of yours. It just reminded me when you said that then. And it was a girl at the beach, and it was a name forget or a number forget. And exactly that, where most hypnotists would have failed and stopped and gone, oh, you can't really be hypnotized. You kept going, and you kept chipping away and trying different things and chipping away. And it was a really nice piece to watch, to see how it was done so well. And you kept going until you got that kind of name amnesia from her. And it meant that she went away having experienced something, rather than going, oh, somebody tried and it didn't work. And so it was great to see that video put up there as well. Just stop that comment.
And I would encourage people listening that, if something doesn't work initially, it doesn't mean that they can't be hypnotized. It doesn't mean that you failed. It just means that that specific approach in that specific moment wasn't effective. But you can always take a new approach. You can always try something new. You can always reframe the idea.
Yeah.
Right. Let's say, I'll give people an example so they can take away sort of a little nugget from this video. Is, let's say you're trying to hypnotize somebody to super simple, maybe have the heavy eyes experience, where you have them to close their eyes, imagine they're stuck and heavy and they can't open their eyes. So what happens if you have somebody who is in that situation, they close their eyes, you say you can't open their eyes, and they go, ta-da, my eyes are open, it didn't work, hypnosis isn't real, you're fake, this is failed. But what you have to do is you reframe that situation, and you don't admit that, oh no, it didn't work. But what you would tell them is, no, it worked exactly as you expected it to work, right? Hypnosis is about experiencing what we expect, what we believe. When you're in that state, what were the thoughts going through your mind? You were probably thinking, well, my eyes won't open, my eyes aren't stuck, they're just going to open easily, and this isn't going to work. So you created that expectation. So what would happen if you told yourself that you could create the opposite? You create a different way to reframe it, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe, again, they close their eyes, they open their eyes, it's not going to work. Say, all right, well, forget the hypnosis. Maybe we'll use your imagination. I want you to imagine that you create this experience, or I want you to even just pretend, if you will. And it's not really working, they're not really stuck, but just pretend. And now maybe pretend you're no longer pretending, and allow that pretend experience to start to feel right. Reframe it however that you need to get them to the point where then they can be like, whoa, okay, I felt that, or something was different. because the interesting thing about hypnosis and part of the challenge is that you could do one approach for one person and the exact same approach for another person, and it will work different ways because everybody's different and we respond to different language patterns, different ideas, different modalities in different ways. But when you can learn to improvise and learn to adapt and understand what will work best for the subject or the person that you have in front of you, then that's when you really get your success rate to skyrocket.
Brilliant. Yeah. Dylan Lovegrove says he saw that episode. Great style change. Brilliant. Yeah. You mentioned beforehand, and it's really interesting because all of the like real successful hypnotists that we've interviewed on this show have all kind of said the same thing. And it was one of the first things you said out of the bat when you came out. And it was always about learning about acting, learning about comedy, learning about improv. And you just said, earlier on that you were doing that stuff before you got into hypnosis. But do you think the magic, the improv and all those other skills, especially the acting as well, do you think that's one of the things that helps you present hypnosis in the way that you do online?
Yeah, I think improv is really the biggest skill out of all the ones that I had that helped me the most. Like I was just talking about that with that example where it doesn't work. What happens when it doesn't work? If you're not comfortable on your feet and adapting on the fly and figuring out what you need to do, then you're just going to feel stuck or you're just going to move on. But being able to improvise and go with the flow, or as a stage hypnotist, when you're performing and you have somebody experiencing a suggestion, what do you do with that? You say, okay, well, cool, great. Or for example, some of the videos that have done the best on my TikTok or YouTube are often videos where people are hypnotized to think that I'm their favorite celebrity, right? Oh my gosh, you're Beyonce. And these college students are crying because they think that I'm somebody that I'm not. But where most hypnotists might just be like, cool, I'm Beyonce. Yeah, look at that. Look what happens. How do you create an interaction out of that moment? So you'll often see, I'll be like, oh yes, I'm Beyonce. What's your favorite thing about me? If you could ask me any question, what do you know? Oh, you like this song? Let me sing this song for you, and just sing the ABCs and make them think that it's, a Beyonce song or whatever. So how can you improvise and go with the flow in the moment and really being able to take this magical moment that we can create with hypnosis, but expound it and add to it and make it even bigger, heighten that comedy, heighten that fun that you're having to the moment where it becomes more than just this cool phenomena, but it becomes entertainment or it becomes a full experience. And so, yeah, bring it back. Improv, I think, is the biggest skill that I think has helped me as a hypnotist out of all the ones that I've learned.
Absolutely. Who is your inspiration? Who do you look up to within kind of the hypnosis field? Where do you see your style of hypnosis leaning towards? Who have been your biggest influences?
Well, I think getting started, we mentioned Paul Ramsey, him being the first show that I ever saw. So especially as I was getting started, I would always have his shows as reference in my mind of those shows that I saw when I was a student in college. And so he's a great friend of mine, super nice guy. If you guys don't know Paul Ramsey, super awesome, super great person. But he's still, is one of my good friends at this point, mentor. But I still, look to him as an inspiration and see some of his shows as a great example of what to do. As far as street hypnosis goes, of course, Darren Brown is someone who's done a lot of that similar street hypnosis style. I know he's much bigger in the UK on your side of the pond too. So
so Paul's just commented as well. It says big hug.
Big hug from Paul.
Yeah. Jason Simmons says, what's your favorite routine to perform and what setting do you prefer to perform in, i.e. stage or street?
Oh boy. I mean, that favorite celebrity one, I think, is just so much fun, especially because it just gets such big reactions. And I think part of the fun of going into that moment is I have no idea who they're going to see me as, right? A lot of times people will give the suggestion of, oh, well, I'm Justin Bieber, I'm Beyonce, or they'll name a celebrity. Whereas I like that sort of fun and excitement of I'm your favorite celebrity and I have no idea who you are going to think I am in a moment. And so they have the reaction of, oh my goodness, you're this person. And I have the reaction of, I don't know who I am and I have to figure this out as they go. And so that's why I'll usually ask, oh, okay, and I know not everybody knows, but remind them who I am. And they'll say, oh, this is who you are. And so if I know that celebrity, of course, I can go off of that. If there are times where I don't, right, that happens all the time where somebody will say the name of a person. Maybe it's an obscure, like, you're the captain of the men's volleyball team. I don't watch volleyball. I don't know who that is. So if somebody says a name and I don't know, a little trick is I'll just be like, oh yeah, that's great. I know not everybody here knows what I do, but remind them what I do. And that's when they'll sort of add that second piece of information. So now if I don't know that person, I at least know what they do and I can figure out what I need to do from there. But Yeah, that celebrity routine is always so much fun because it not only gets such big reactions, but because it's just fun for me in that moment to be able to figure out both who they think I am, but then where I can take that and what I can do with that and creating a fun bit from it.
Fantastic.
And it's fun both on stage and in the street.
Yeah. Paul says he's late to the party, but he's here. We'll forgive you, Paul.
Ramsey is
just this
here,
once. I must admit, it's. I have a lot of love for Paul. I met up with him a couple of years ago, and a genuinely nice guy. Like genuinely to his core, he's a wonderful guy. So and he got us connected as well. So hats off. And I know Paul's doing some. Like a mindset group thing with some great
Hypnosis mastermind. So definitely link up with him if you want to
absolutely
be part of that.
I always ask guests this, 2 books that have inspired you, whether it be for your business or hypnosis, what would they be?
So I think one of the books that I always recommend to people who are wanting to get into hypnosis, I'm sure it's one that a lot of us have read as hypnotists, but Reality is Plastic by Anthony Jacquin, I always say, is a great starting point, especially if you want to get into doing street hypnosis. It gives you a great framework for how to get into it, how to have approaches, what suggestibility tests to do, or routines or inductions, things like that. So Reality is Plastic is definitely a big one. Encyclopedia of Stage Hypnotism is one that I read early on. That's, again, a classic that I'm sure a lot of us have read, but you can't go wrong with that one.
Yeah. So. Yeah, it's weird, especially the Encyclopedia of Stage Hypnosis. It's one that when you get into stage hypnosis, you've got to get it, and then you read through it, and it's a big book. You can use it for home self-defense if somebody comes in, just throw the book at them. And it's always interesting because you can go back to it a few years later and kind of go, oh, I disagree with these bits now because of this. And great that you kind of mentioned Reality is Plastic, because for me, that's almost the opposite of the Encyclopedia of Stage Hypnosis. It goes, let's get rid of all the fluff, all the excess stuff that's not necessary, and kind of go, this is how you hypnotize somebody. This is how you do it. This is what you say, and this is what you do. Great book. So I have reached out to Anthony a couple of times to see if he'd come on this, because he is fairly local-ish to here. But yeah, it's weird because here in the UK, stage hypnosis, street hypnosis, we have some kind of we have different groups of people. Some people think that it's completely wrong because it's against the 1952 Act, but most of those people still do a bit of street hypnosis themselves, because it's a great way of doing it. And I also recommend hypnotherapists to learn impromptu and street hypnosis, because it's a great way of demonstrating their skills.
And especially if you're in a session with a client where, you run into that situation where, again, they feel like, oh, well, this isn't working, or I didn't feel hypnotized, or I don't think it's working. If you have a limited skill set, what are you going to do with that? But learning different inductions or different styles of being able to induce someone really quickly on the street or do it in a different way on stage, it just gives you more options, right?
Richard Cole says, where will Zach be in 5 years' time? What will you be doing?
Richard, I have no idea. I wish you could tell me the answer to that. We'll see. 5 years ago, I knew nothing about hypnosis. I was still a geeky college student that was learning magic for fun, right? But now I'm, here in LA doing hypnosis. And so I have no idea where I'll be in the next 5 years, but I'm excited to see. I think it'll be a lot of fun to see how it will continue to evolve.
I think years ago, people of my generation, we had to have like a 5 to 10 year plan of goal setting and writing it out. And it was this 5 to 10 years. I think now with the speed and rate of technology and the advancements, a 6 to 12 months plan now is more appropriate for a lot of businesses. Because if my business is doing what I think it was doing 5 years ago, then I'm doing something wrong, if you know what I mean. Things change and adapt all the time, and I try and stay fluid with that. And I think you've got to see where things take you. So yeah,
I think I kind of look at my journey is, it's like I'm going on a hike, right? A lot of people, especially people who are high achievers and goal setters, are like, how can I get to the top of the mountain as quickly as possible? And what's my plan to get there in a year or 2 years or 5 years? Or where do I want to be on the mountain? Or what's that like? And right now I'm like, I'm just enjoying the hike. I'm going to take the scenic route. I'm going to go the long way. I'm going to try these different things. And I may not end up in the same place that I thought I would end up. But the most important thing is I'll have fun along the way, and I'll be enjoying the journey and enjoying the process. And many people, kill themselves to get to where they want to be and put in all this work and hate themselves for putting in so much work and not doing what they love. And they get there And they're like, well, but the last 5 years sucked in order to get to where I wanted to be. Whereas I'm like, I'm just going to enjoy the next couple of years, see where it takes me, continue to have fun doing what I'm doing on stage, on the street, working with influencers. And if it opens up new opportunities, I'm sure things will come along that I never expected. I never expected to be able to do a show for Tony Robbins, but that came as I was continuing just to enjoy the space that I've created for myself. And so we'll see where I'm at in 5 years, but it'll be a fun ride along the way.
And if there is one takeaway from this chat, anybody that's watching this, that is exactly it. Don't chase the money. Don't chase the fame. Don't chase what you think you should chase. Enjoy the process. Enjoy it now, because God knows what could happen tomorrow, next week. And if the pandemic has taught us anything, that's definitely that. That's all. Yeah. Richard Cole says, amen. Natasha Stanley says, so can we be friends, Zach, or is your social media guarded by a team of VAs? Haha.
No VAs. Although I haven't posted anything on Facebook in years, so I'm not really on Facebook as much. So Instagram is where I spend more of my time. TikTok, YouTube a lot, but connect on Instagram.
Yeah, Natasha says, I have added you on Facebook. Don't leave me hanging. There you go.
Okay.
Bless her. Bless her. I always ask guests for a golden nugget. I would like to have the caveat on that. The golden nugget for you, what do you think the people watching this that want to get that online or YouTube success, what's your piece of advice, the thing that you wish you'd have learned 3-4 years ago?
I think with so many people, when they're thinking about where they want to go online and figuring out how do I create a presence, it all feels overwhelming, right? There's TikTok, there's YouTube, there's Instagram. Where do I go? What do I need to do? People feel overwhelmed. They feel unmotivated. But the reality is that it's really difficult to think our way into a new way of acting, but it's a lot easier to act our way into a new way of thinking. Sometimes you just have to put yourself out there and be willing to throw a video on TikTok and let it fail and let it go wrong. Post on YouTube and let it get 2 views. Put something on Instagram and let only 5 people see it, because that's how it starts. My first video on YouTube didn't blow up until it was my 42nd video. I had dozens of videos that barely got any views, but I wasn't putting it out there to get views. I wasn't putting it out there to get money. I was putting it out there to have fun. And I was willing to fail, and I was willing to not be successful.
Yeah, what I love most about Zach is his attitude. His success comes from his ability to pursue possibility without fear, but rather with a new sense of joy. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. And if you're afraid of failure, if you're afraid of videos not doing well or not performing, remember that a mindset that I like to have is that it's impossible for you to fail, because you will either win or you will learn, and either outcome is a great outcome. It will go well, and if it doesn't, you'll be able to learn something. You'll be able to take away something from that environment. When I was doing street hypnosis, my success rate initially was not good. Even the people that would say yes, a lot of times wouldn't get hypnotized or wouldn't be successful. But rather than getting defensive, or rather than putting the responsibility on them, saying they weren't a good subject or I know what I'm doing, I would always ask myself, how can I get better? What can I do different next time? And even as I was getting more success, let's say I got somebody hypnotized in 15 minutes on a street hypnosis video, I would challenge myself and say, well, how can I do it in 10 minutes next time, or 5 minutes next time, or 60 seconds next time? And continue to push myself and challenge myself. And I would, of course, fail along the way. But naturally, again, failure is not a bad thing. You'll win or you'll learn, and either outcome is a good thing.
That's a golden nugget. That is an absolutely fantastic one. Richard Cole is. I always took the mick out of Richard Cole because the Canadian internet is the worst internet in the world. That's the one thing I've learned over these 100 episodes is Canadian internet is terrible. And Richard Cole says it must be the British internet this evening.
Gotcha.
Brilliant. What's next? You mentioned, or you inferred there may be some TV stuff in the pipeline. Is that something you can talk about?
Well, I just don't have a lot of details yet. So still working on, pitching a TV show and seeing where it will go. It's still in that initial development stage where we have to get people behind it who are interested. But if and when that happens, or we get somebody who buys into the show and decides that we want to make it, then there'll be more to talk about there. But right now it's just a possibility, but you never know with possibilities. So
Exactly.
keep moving forward.
And having that open mind and that mindset to just embrace it rather than chase it is absolutely fantastic. It's been a real pleasure talking to you. You know, I enjoy your videos online as well, and which is, for me as a hypnotist watching hypnosis, sometimes it can, for me, watching hypnotists do hypnosis can sometimes be a challenge. But watching you do hypnosis, I actually find a pleasure to watch. You are really good, and the way you do change styles when it's not going the way that you want it to do is really good, and you do it in a really nice way. There's no kind of, you know, sleazy old men lecturing over young girls. It's done in a cool way. So, you know, I'm a fan of what you do. And I know the people in the comment section are showing you lots of love. They're not throwing loads of comments up just because the comments keep kicking you out.
Potentially you're gonna ruin
Exactly.
the stream, but we're working with it.
So yeah, Natasha says the greatest personal limitation is to be found not in the things that you want to do and can't, but in the things you never considered doing. There you go.
Yeah.
Quote from Richard Bandler there from Natasha.
Something that I often remind people of is that, you know, if you argue for your limitations, you get to keep those limitations. But if you argue for your possibilities, you get to create those possibilities. So to do those possibilities, you can do whatever you set your mind to.
Inspiration as well. So where can people that don't know you, where can they find you?
Well, Zach Pincince is a pretty uncommon name, and so it was unclaimed on just about every social media. So if you look up Zach Pincince, you'll find me on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram, on Twitter, on all the different platforms. So
fantastic.
Just follow the trail of
you on Twitch?
No, not Twitch. I haven't done a lot of live streaming, so maybe that's something that will develop in the future. Who knows? But
brilliant. Zach, yeah, any final thoughts, any final words from you?
I just go back to what I was talking about with limitations, possibilities, right? Remember that you get to be the person that you want to be. I'll leave people with one of my favorite quotes by Ralph Waldo Emerson, who said, "The only person you're ever destined to become is the person that you decide to be." So whether that's somebody as a hypnotist, as a stage hypnotist, as a hypnotherapist, or even just as a person in general wanting to live the best life that you can, remember that that's always up to you. And so that's the final thought I'll leave people with.
Zach, thank you very much for joining me. Apologies for the technical issues, but we managed
to figure it out. All good.
We got through it eventually. Thank you for your time as well. And yeah, thank you, Paul, for connecting us as well. So guys, do show him lots of love. They're throwing all the comments up now, and I've got to make sure they don't hit the screen or it'll kick you off. They're all hitting it now. Fantastic. Zach, thank you very much, buddy. It's been an absolute pleasure. Please do check out Zach's social media. And yes, take care. Guys, that is Zach Pincince. Do check out his social media. Do subscribe to him. He's got nearly 600,000 subscribers on YouTube. He's got one more extra from me as well. Next week, we are talking to the one and only Jim Kellner, who has an amazing British accent as well. And hopefully by then we'll have sorted out any technical issues. Please do show Zach lots of love. It's great for him to take time out of his busy schedule and share some of his stuff with us as well. Guys, thank you very much for joining me tonight. Thank you for bearing with me on the technical